Hello and welcome to HD's weekly talk show, The Interview. We did take a break, but we return with an absolutely new package. The untold stories of dynamic civil servants, wherein we bring you back-to-back programs on civil servants who have done path-breaking work. Their stories, sure, are inspirational, but also mirror the challenges of the profession. In our new series, we answer the 5 W's and decode what it takes to be a civil servant. In this edition of HD's weekly talk show, The Interview. Meet Amod Kanth, and many images flash across the mind. The Jessica Lal case, the BMW case, and none other than Charles Sobhraj and Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Today, Amod Kanth finds similarities between a financial scam that has hit headlines and the one he investigated decades ago, the big bull Harshad Mehta's case. From a successful police officer to a failed politician, if I may use the term, his journey has been an interesting one. He takes us through his years of glory and turmoil in this edition of HD's weekly talk show, The Interview, in our special segment on civil services. Welcome to the show, Mr. Amod Kanth, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, thank you.
From a successful cop to a failed politician, if I may use the term, tell me about both and take me through that journey.
I think that was a real misadventure in my opinion. See, yes, as a police officer, 34 years, I had very, very interesting career. Well, I think it was at a very high level. Sheila Dikshit was chief minister that time, and at the very high level, they just wanted me to contest. I exactly remained 15 days in the entire kind of process of contesting election. And then I lost the election happily, very happily, because if I had won the election, things would have been different. But then, जैसा कहते हैं कि आग का दरिया है डूब के जाना है. In this country, probably in public life, unless you contest an election, I think nobody can understand what politics is all about. The only one thing which was there that I must have talked in about 200 meetings. I said, शराब नहीं बांटनी है, पैसे नहीं बांटना है, जीतू या हारू. मैं हार गया. I lost the election. So I'm very happy about it. Okay.
You were also a magistrate before you donned the uniform. How did that happen?
Well, I think I had a bit of a checkered career. In fact, I joined IPS little late because I wanted to be a lecturer. At the age of 23, I started a college for the tribals in Chaivasa, between Chaivasa and Jamshedpur, which has become a very big college now. So that college, I started the college, ran that institution. Then, of course, purely by chance, I got into civil services, became a magistrate for just 1 year. And then, meanwhile, appeared for the UPSC again and got into IPS.
You know, the fact that you could not, unfortunately, reach the commissioner's post, how disappointing was that?
No, it wasn't disappointing for the simple reason that, as I said, that age-wise, I joined late IPS. I was in other activities. But in any case, given the political dispensations, let's say even if I had the opportunity, I think they would not have preferred someone like me.
Why do you say that?
No, the issue is that I had my own ways of functioning. I functioned very methodically. I have been a stickler for rule of law. But the fact remains that if you follow the law, then you are in trouble. As ASP Pondicherry, I was thrown away because I did something it wasn't liked by the Chief Minister. My last posting as a DG Police of Arunachal Pradesh, I carried out police reforms, that Prakash Singh case and 2006 judgment in toto. And ultimately, the Chief Minister didn't like it and he wanted me to go away. Delhi as it is, and the position of Commissioner of Police Delhi has been a bit of a political thing, one doesn't know.
So, what you're saying is that there are political pressures, which you've spoken about before. There are conflicts, there are contradictions, there are things which a person who follows the rule of the law cannot handle. Isn't that then a reflection on all those who've reached or made it to the top?
The police leaders, the topmost police leaders of the country, they are supposed to follow a particular kind of pattern. If they don't do it, they are in trouble. And I have learnt it hard way. I have learnt it partly for the reason that in my police career, I had the opportunity to do some of the very important cases, like starting from Lalit Makan case, Arjun Das case, General Vaidya case. They were not so difficult because they were counter-terrorist cases, all right. Then came Rajiv Gandhi assassination while in CBI. It had lot of political and other considerations which really troubled me a lot, although we succeeded and finally a lot of things happened. Subsequently, these Harshad Mehta cases, then share market cases, V. Krishnamurthy cases, economic offences, they were very important. So all these cases and all these political maneuvers around them, they really are very important. Higher you go, the more problems you have.
Talking of your cases, a recent financial scam, which, and I'm not going to take names, which seems to have hit headlines, takes you back to a case you resolved and cracked, which was the Harshad Mehta case.
Well, I think surprisingly it's being mentioned in a couple of media reports. I saw that a comparison is being drawn. And when I saw it, it struck me, it really struck me that yes, it's a very, very clear comparison. When the share market scam came up and the bank scams came simultaneously, Harshad Mehta was the face, but there were so many of them actually, very powerful share market leaders who were controlling the share market then. And there, what happened, that 14,000 crores, which was the value of the blown up share market, the money which came from the government, it came from the banks, it came from organizations like Maruti Udyog, public sectors. And then that money came and the share market bloomed. It was really it exploded suddenly and there was a big loss. And today, huge amounts which has been pumped into from LIC or from State Bank of India and such kind of thing. And it appears that the balloon is going to burst. If it really bursts, in that case, big loss will be caused to people who contribute their own way. Like LIC is ultimately a common man's kitty. And then if it goes away like this, if the interest falls or the LIC suffers big losses, well, I'm not aware what's going to happen, but there is a comparison. There appears to be similar situations somewhere.
Going back to your cases, you've handled many important, crucial and controversial cases. The Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, the Lalit Makan case, Jessica Lal, Charles Sobhraj. So take me through those, the challenging moments, the roadblocks, and sometimes when you threw up your hands and said, oh my God, we've reached a dead end.
See, the Rajiv Gandhi case obviously was the biggest case. And no other case in the country had aroused so much of interest. A former Prime Minister of India was killed. And their operatives come from another country and kill him. And they become part of their life. To discover them from that kind of situation was very, very difficult. And that too by a team of investigators led by me. I was an outsider. The roadblock or perhaps the gap in the case was when the information which came to Malligai, the place we operated from, SIT's headquarters, there the information was not shared timely with the investigation team. And finally, as you know, that the killers of Rajiv Gandhi, Shivrasan, that one-eyed famous Jack, he committed suicide. So that was a loss, a big loss for us. Coming back to, let's say, your Jessica Lal case. Jessica Lal case, as you know, there were nearly 300 to 400 people who came to that party, that famous party, Qutub Colonnade, run by Ramani mother and daughter duo. They ran it. And they were trying to develop something called Thursday party. So Thursday, starting from that particular Thursday to 9th Thursday, it was cascading. It was going numerically going up. And that particular night, there were about 300 to 400 people there already. Who's who of Delhi, the socialists of Delhi, they were there. And the crime took place and a lot of people were present even at that point of time. But what happened? In such a case, people were bought off. 35 eyewitnesses or 35 persons who were connected to case in Jaska Lal case, they turned hostile. And the socialists of Delhi and the powerful people who were present and around, they buckled. They buckled, most of them. The money game and the power game and the political game was at its full speed, full swing.
You spoke about the political power, you spoke about the money power in Jessica Lal case and people being bought off. Are you saying that in Rajiv Gandhi's case, these challenges were not there? And in that sense, it was easier to investigate?
I would not say it was easier to investigate. Rajiv Gandhi case was very difficult to investigate compared to, let's say, Jessica Lal case. But the point is different. The level of political influence in Rajiv Gandhi case was very different. Because as you know that the president's rule came. I mean, about that time when Rajiv Gandhi case, the party in power was supporting LTT very strongly. The LTT became so strong in India, they became so strong in Tamil Nadu that prior to Rajiv Gandhi case, there was a case, particular case, concerning EPRLF chief of Sri Lanka, who was also done to death, same as Rajiv Gandhi was killed. And that was on account of the fact that there was a very strong political support to LTT. You understand that? So that's a different kind of thing. But that problem, that kind of political obstructions did not come in Rajiv Gandhi case for the simple reason it was too big a case. The ex-Prime Minister of India was killed and there was overwhelming support for investigation. So that for that reason, the political influence in that sense was not working as much. The political influence or the bureaucratic influence or the influence of money was far more visible in a case like Jessica Lal case or BMW case, I am saying, where again what happened, they were bought over. You know the case very well, where kind of a very rich man's son, he comes driving breakneck speed with his friend, and then 3 policemen and 3 persons who were there out of 7, they were killed on the spot. It was a very, very gory and dirty case which happened on our own Lodi road. And then in this case, the role of lawyers was the worst thing to happen. In no other Indian case, perhaps, these senior advocates played the kind of role which they did in this BMW case. The Supreme Court judgments in this case are a remarkable saga about the role of lawyers. So these are the kind of things which came out of this case, which became very important. So the story of the case, the event as it was unfolded, was not so devious or difficult. But the story of the fallout was very, very difficult.
Talking of Charles Sobhraj, the colourful man, what are your impressions? You investigated that case.
See, Charles Sobhraj case somehow turned out to be different than what I thought. I would like to present Charles's case in 3 different facets. Number 1, Charles as a character. Abominable, dirtiest possible, hateful character. He was a confidence trickster. And the man always betrayed anyone with whom he had intimate relationships. Most of these 20 cases of bikini killing, as a bikini killer as he was known, and killed a lot of people, drugged and killed and all that stuff. Most of it were either women or people who were very close to him. In my opinion, there was no big thing about him. He never impressed me. For about a month, he was in my custody. I used to keep him away from here. I didn't allow him to sit on the chair. 2 reasons. Number 1, I wanted to show him his place, and that is on the ground. And secondly, he smelled very badly. The kind of a smell that used to come from his mouth was, for me, it was totally unacceptable. His character is one. His international connections were very, very important. And the most important part is that, he is about 77, 78 now. Recently, he has been released from Nepal jail he has gone back to France. Nearly 43 to 44 years this man remained in jail. In fact, he has served more than 2 life sentences in jail. And from jail he operated. The way he played around with people at a larger scale he did in Tihar jail. The way no rules were being followed in Tihar jail, and this man made the entire Tihar jail as if his captive. he mesmerized, hypnotized, whatever he did, but then he took fullest advantage of it. He destroyed the whole system, in my opinion. Internationally, he created an image for himself and he got into all types of activities. And globally speaking, if you have to identify 10 most kind of talked about criminals in the world, Charles is one of them.
You know, you also investigated the 1984 riots, and that was controversial because there was a demand that your gallantry award should be stripped off. However, what you said was that it transformed your life and the way you looked at the police and society. What does this mean? And just take me through that.
I would say that no other situation, no other part of my life, 1 week of that, let's say 5 days of that, has been so traumatizing, I would say, and so devastating emotionally, I would say, physically apart, as this 84 riots. And then after that, I was in my district, which was the most sensitive district of Delhi. Central Delhi was quite big that time. It was no doubt the most sensitive, full of mixed population, full of Sikhs. And then from that time to 5 days, when it went on and on and on, I must have opened fire several times. I must have lathi charged dozens of times. I was on the move all the time. And as you know, that repeated commissions, Rangnath Mishra Commission, Nanavati Commission, all of them, they have placed on record huge admirations for me. I have no grievances against people that in a situation where 3,006 were killed, in a situation where police came in very bad light, in a situation where systems collapsed, somebody is being given gallantry award, look odd. But ultimately, as you know, the Honorable High Court has given a very exhaustive judgment and it said that it was for an incident and in the given circumstances, his role was gallant. That was accepted. I cannot forget the kind of fear, the kind of anxiety and the scare in their eyes. I mean, that is something which these kind of happenings created a lasting impact on me emotionally. And that's why I say that those 5 days were so extraordinarily different for me that I wasn't the same person again.
Tell me, were you or your police force, like it is alleged, look the other way and gave politicians a free hand?
I think I'll definitely agree that in certain parts of Delhi, particularly the outer Delhi, and some of these slum areas where the overwhelming kind of support came from the people or they became very outrageous, it happened. The police did not act in many places. And decidedly, a lot of these local politicians, they had a role to play.
Let's change tack and talk about something you would probably be happier talking about or happy talking about. You started Prayas while in service. And in this context, the number 34 is very, very important. Just decode that for me.
No, that is, this number 34 comes again when I go back in memory lane and when I think retrospectively. Exactly nearly 34 years of policing made me whatever I am as a cop or ex-cop. And more than 34 years now, 35th year, I am running for Prayas. And 1988 was the year when I started Prayas. It was a pure chance. Pure chance means city of Delhi, I was DCP crime for long 5 years, as you know. One of the very small things was the missing person squad. So the lost and found children, 30, 40 of them across the city, we didn't know where to keep them. In those times, we didn't have these kind of homes, many homes. They were orphanages or they were government juvenile homes. So we had a difficult time in keeping these 40, 50 children, where to keep, how to keep. That was coming from my heart that I should look after them. That was the provocation. A big fire took place in Jahangirpuri. I went there along with Lieutenant Governor, Mr. H.L. Kapoor, Air Marshal Kapoor, and I started Prayas. Today, Prayas, as you know, has more than 700 co-workers full-time and nearly 250 centers from Arunachal Pradesh, where we are running several primary health center, community health center running programs, down to Andaman Nicobar Islands. We run 38 homes and shelters for children, for women, for homeless adults. We run more than 70 centers for skill development, livelihood programs and all that stuff. So the growth of this organization was possible for the reason that I did not make Prayas and did not allow Prayas to remain part of police only. It went out of it. Coming to your question, 34 years, these 34 years of non-police work and add 3 years because I was also the first chairman of Child Rights Commission soon after my service. So these 34 years are as precious, as valuable as my police work for 34 years. They stand almost on equal footing.
Do you miss the uniform? And being a cop, and a top cop at that, what are the lessons learned and unlearned?
Well, I don't think I miss the uniform in that sense, but I like the uniform very much. I looked at the uniform in its best way. I understood the value of rule of law, and I did not deviate from that path. That all happened because of my police work. It taught me a lot, there's no doubt about it. Lessons endless that I learned in police.
You've been referring to your books, and of course, you have turned author. But from the baton to the pen, how does it work?
First of all, the pen, as it appears to me, gets sharpened when you use it. Same as baton, same as sword, you know. And then I have learned past 4 years when I have started writing that as you write and as you think, and if you think according to your own experience of life and relate all that stuff to the surrounding circumstances or the issues that kind of beset this country, then it becomes a very interesting exercise. So I'm not into fictions, not at all. I'm into life.
You know, we always end this program with words of wisdom, as one would say. What is your advice to aspirants? And considering you have donned so many roles, would it be the uniform? Would it be khadi or writing? Would it be none of these? Would it be everything or something else?
Don't become a person who is borrowing from others. Your life is rich enough. Your life is strong enough and you can carry it. And the second point is that you must look around. I think you start serving the moment you become passionate about things happening around you. It's far more important to be socially relevant, to be socially conscious, to be compassionate, than to be just a professional. And your professionalism in a democratic country like India, in an aspiring world like India's, probably will be more truthful, more authentic if you are able to relate yourself to circumstances around you.
But you know, on a reality check, social consciousness, social responsibility sounds very good, but it does not feed the family. So, a young man who is on the threshold of beginning his career, what would you say?
No, I think you are provided very well. I think if you join the government, if you joined any government service for that matter, if I am addressing civil servants, if I am addressing government officials, they are far, far better off than many others. You have no business to forget for a moment that you are in a service. And that service is not towards rich and powerful, the service towards the poor and downtrodden. The service is towards those who deserve your services. The entire governmental machinery, the entire democratic system is meant for those who need it. It's not meant for those who don't need it. That's all.
Mr. Amod Kanth, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and thank you for taking us through your very interesting journey.
Thanks a lot, Kumkum. Thanks a lot to you.